the help of the Almighty. Assalamu alaikum. I pray to the Almighty that He should bestow upon me His wisdom, His truth, and that I should be worthy of conveying this truth to such an august gathering, and in so doing we should be able to sanctify the name of the Almighty and hopefully bring global peace and unity to this world. Amen. I'd like to thank Muhammad Ali for being so gracious and giving me this privilege of speaking at this momentous event, the Global Peace and Unity event, in order to be able to, with God's help, start a movement of peace and unity throughout the world of people of different faiths. In fact, we as Jewish people have been living for hundreds and hundreds of years, and even thousands of years, in Arab and Muslim countries, together with our cousins, the Muslim people, and with Christian people. And in fact, there was no United Nations or human rights groups to protect us. There was the one Almighty who we all served together, and we were able to coexist in harmony. I'm not saying there were never any bumps in the road, but as a general rule, we coexisted, we helped each other, we were the best of neighbors, and history can attest to that fact. What has happened? What has changed to cause the rift, the mistrust, the unfortunate suffering, pain that is going on today in Palestine, and maybe throughout other countries, the exacerbation of hate and mistrust between Jews and Muslims? We in our Jewish schools are told and trained and taught to do the requirements of God, of the Torah, and be indebted and show our gratefulness for kindness that has been done to us. And we have constantly been shown a safe haven, a good heart and will, exemplary hospitality to the Jewish people throughout the ages, whether it was at the time of the Crusades, the Inquisitions, the Spanish Inquisition, or just recently, by the time of Hitler. Jewish people had a safe haven in Muslim communities. And we are truly thankful and indebted for these goodness that was expressed to us. And still yet we find that many Jewish people today don't comprehend and seem to be totally ignorant of this history. What has happened? Unfortunately, something new has developed in the world in the last 100 years, a new movement and ideology, and that is called Zionism. People confuse Judaism and Zionism. They consider it one and the same. But there could be nothing further from the truth, because in actuality, Zionism is antithetical to Judaism. It is the diametric opposite. Judaism is a religion, a spirituality to serve God, to be subservient to God, practiced by Jewish people for thousands of years, to emulate God. As in Hebrew we say, Mahu rachum af ato tehei rachum. Just as God is compassionate, you must be compassionate. Zionism is the transformation of Judaism into something new, entirely different, into nationalism, a political goal to have a land, to be a proud nation amongst nations, removing God from the equation. Judaism was the way of the Jewish people for thousands of years by all the God-fearing Jews. Zionism is 100 years old, by non-practiced, created, concocted by non-religious Jews as a whole. Theodor Herzl, people who detested and abhorred the religion and looked for a way out, for a way to be considered still distinguished people and still remain not people who were thrown out of the community. So they gave themselves a new form of Judaism, nationalism, and God is removed from the equation. The Torah is very clear in that when there was a decree of exile for the Jewish people 2,000 years ago, we were expressly told by God that we are forbidden to try to recreate our own establishment, our own entity. We are forbidden to have a state. Even in an uninhabited land, we must accept that our being expelled from the land of Palestine and the destruction of the temple was not because of our physical lacking, but only because of our spiritual lacking, that we were not on enough of a high level of spirituality. The books of the prophets are open, anybody can see and read that. And we yearn and pray as a Jewish people for the day when ultimately God will end this exile that we have been sent into by He Himself, without any human intervention. When all humanity will recognize the one God, there will be a metaphysical change in the world. As it states across from the United Nations in the conclave wall called the Isaiah Wall, that the day will come when they will beat the swords into plowshares. One nation will not pick up a sword against another nation. That is what we as a Jewish people must yearn and pray for. And until that day comes, we must be loyal citizens, exemplary people throughout the world to serve God, be subservient, and be kind-hearted, good people as God requires.